Alright, welcome back to LMDiesel, and today is a very exciting day because my red truck is getting even more LED rock lights. If you've seen some of my previous videos, you'll know that the truck currently has 16 aux beam rock lights on it right now. Now, there's a couple things about these lights that kind of bothered me, and I'll kind of talk through it right now. So, the kit overall was super easy to use, super easy to install. However, it was kind of annoying how the wires came out of the sides of the lights instead of out of the back. Also, the app, while it works great and it syncs well with everything, for whatever reason with me, it messes with my music since the app uses Bluetooth as well, so my music would kind of cut in and cut out. But honestly, the biggest thing is that these lights don't do pure white. They're RGB lights, but they're not RGBW lights. So big thanks to MicTuning for helping me to fix this problem. So they sent out their RGBW C3 rock light. This is the box came in. They sent out 12 of these. Box was really nice, came with everything needed, and I've actually already tore into it a little bit. So don't mind the jerry rigging, but this is the new pod. It's kind of a heavy duty light, good size, and I love that it has the wire coming out of the back. However, the install kit, you actually will need like actual wire to install it. This does, the old aux beam kit, you know, it has those easy connecting connectors. This isn't like that. The other cool thing is that this actually has its own little remote for it, which I appreciate. It also has an app, but it also gives you a remote, so love that. They also sent out some LED underglow strips. Now, I initially wasn't super excited when they sent these things out because I was like, what am I going to do with underglow? But then as I thought about it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can run these in the wheel wells and kind of on the front of the truck, and then I can use these to run underneath the cab. And there's a lot of guys that don't really run LED light strips, but after testing these out, they get really bright. Here, let me show you. So for these rock light strips, of course, they sent out a remote here, which works pretty well, but boom. So yeah, they do pure white, and the camera doesn't really do it justice, but they do get bright. Of course, you got your red, green, blue, all kinds of advanced modes, but I'm most excited about the white. So because we're going to be installing all of these new lights and there's going to be a lot of wires running through the engine bay, I wanted to get some new parts to kind of help dress up the engine bay, clean it up as we're doing this install. So let me show you some of the stuff I got. So first things first, I got this really sick wire loom off of Amazon. It is red and black, so it matches the truck. I've used this stuff before and I love it because you can easily separate it and cover up your wires with it. So that ought to look great. So the second thing I got is some distribution blocks. So this bigger one right here is for the positive. It's nice because it's weather sealed and has some really cool mounting points on it, so I'll be able to kind of get some of those wires off of the battery. I also got a little distribution block for the negative battery terminal as well. Those are some extra parts for that. And then big thanks to FlashArc for sending out this intake horn. It's very similar to the one that is on the black dually, but it's blue. And the one on my truck right now, I believe, is like a hard plastic, and this is actually metal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and give this a try. It'll be a nice, fun, new shiny part, and we will see how it works. So I'm super excited to get all these lights installed, but before we do that, it's a good idea to test all of your lights first before you go and install them all in the truck, because if one of them's bad, that could cause a problem. So I have my little battery charger hooked up here. It supplies 12 volts, so I'm just gonna go ahead, hook up all these lights, make sure they work, and then after that, we're gonna dive into cleaning up the engine bay and installing these lights.
I can't take no loss, I don't even know what it costs. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. Hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. I can't take no loss, I don't even know what it costs, yeah. I hit the ground, then it go off, yeah. Hit the ground, then it go off, yeah, yeah. Run it, ooh. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.
Alright, so I finally finished jacking around with these lights. Got them all lit up, as you can see. Got the little remote here, which is cool. Off, on, and then you can hit this button to cycle through the modes, and you can also connect it to your phone as well. All right, so don't look too close in my little wiring job just to test these out. This is purely just to test out. But I do have to say I did run into a pretty annoying problem, and I definitely want to highlight that in this review. All right, so basically here's the problem. Normally when you're dealing with lights like this, when you're hooking stuff up, you just want to connect it to the battery, grab the remote, and have the lights all turn on. That's how it should work. That's how it should always work. You shouldn't have to worry about having to pair lights or anything like that. Every kit I've ever messed with, it was you plug them into the battery, you hit the remote, they turn on. These lights, for whatever reason, 8 of them connected immediately to the remote, and they seemed to work just fine. But 4 of them did not. And I had to go through this weird situation where I had to pair each light. And pairing each light, if I'm being totally honest, was kind of ridiculous and pretty difficult. Basically what you had to do is you had to take the leads of the light. This is the only way I could figure out how to do it, and this is per the instructions as well. You had to take the leads of the light and you had to connect the negative to to a negative wire, and the positive to a positive wire, which is live, right? And then once you did that, the light would go into this pairing mode, and then once you did that, you had to hold a button on the remote, and then it would pair. You couldn't just connect the light to a power source, turn the power source on, and then it would start flashing, red. It would start blinking red, and then you would hit the button. It didn't do that. You had to, for whatever reason, specifically connect the negative and then connect the positive, and that was the only way I could ever get it to work and go into the pairing mode. So, all that to say, MicTuning, this is an issue you probably need to fix moving forward. All right, so we're gonna start installing some stuff underneath the hood here. So I'm gonna throw y'all on the time lapse, and I'm gonna start tearing some stuff apart and just trying to clean all of this stuff up. Really the goal is to kind of clean up this whole mess a little bit, as you can see, and there's kind of a mess of wires in there. Also, cover up all of these wires. So yeah, excited to kind of get this whole thing cleaned up.
My life like a movie, just keep moving, it's a trailer. Chefing in my kitchen, got me trying to get my cake up. I thank God for all this coming to me, not straight up. Ball in my core, high step is a layer. My life like a movie, just keep moving, it's a trailer. Chefing in my kitchen, got me trying to get my cake up. I thank God for all this coming to me, not straight up. Big broski in my line, celebrate, get your feet in. But tap in with your peoples, make sure they doing decent. Show me how to readjust some ways that I've been thinking. Been trying to protect what I've been building, been on defense. Celebrating our friends and we gon' up there when we touch down. BYOD, shout out to my homies working sundown. I should call my sister for some custom gold fronts now. Soul already shine, need no diamond roller bust.
Alright, let me catch y'all up to speed. So my GoPro died, but basically last night I spent way too long messing with the wires underneath the engine bay. I can be kind of OCD when it comes to like wiring and stuff, trying to make it clean. So let me show y'all what I did and then tell you what we're gonna do next. Alright, so first things first, I cleaned up the wires up top here. Still kept that same cable sleeve above the turbos just because it helps to protect against heat, and there is a lot of heat with that charger beam right there. But then I also got this new cable sleeve all right here, which looks really nice. So the aux beam light controllers have been removed. There was one right there, if you remember, so that is now gone. And then there was also one right here that has been removed as well. By the way, I'm gonna clip these soon. I just kind of left them slightly loose in case I wanted to run some more wires. But over here you'll notice there's definitely some differences with the battery. So basically before there was a big just ball of wires right there, and while there are still wires, I kind of have them run closer to the body now, and all of my extra positive and negative wires are here. So the positives are in that distribution block right there, and then the negatives are in that distribution block right there. I actually have the wheel lights already hooked up to that, and I also have both the new MicTuning lighting kits connected up. So while I haven't installed the MicTuning lights yet, I have the wiring harnesses hooked up, plugged into the distribution blocks, and they are ready to go. The next thing we're going to do though, I still need to put that intake horn from FlashArc on to see how that looks, and then after that we're going to start installing some lights. So, old intake manifold, new intake manifold. So here is the FlashArc blue intake manifold, and honestly y'all, this thing looks pretty good. The fit and finish was pretty nice. But if I'm being totally honest, the blue doesn't quite go with the black and red theme I got going on here. But if y'all need a budget intake manifold and you are looking for this specific blue color, definitely check out Flash Arc. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this old intake manifold back on, and then I got a little something from Amazon Prime Day that I'm gonna throw on the back. All right, so this is the next thing we are fixing. I actually replaced this a couple years ago, but as you can see, it's fading pretty bad, and it's starting to leak a little bit too. So, good old Amazon Prime Day, got a new one. I think this is the same one that the Dually has. So, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this out and swap it with this guy. There's my wife there. She's gonna hit the brake light for me. So we just have the third brake light in now. Go for it, babe. And as you see, we have this nice kind of oval shape on it. And then it does this flashing sequence when you hit the brake, which I like. Kind of coming from the motorcycle world, just kind of lets, kind of alerts people that, you know, you are there. So it looks nice. So a much needed upgrade, and hopefully this shouldn't be leaking anymore either.
What looks really nice?
You, babe.
I know.
Then there's the cargo light right there. Take that inside for me, my tacos.
Tacos!
Taco. Anyway, on to the next thing. Alright, so we got the truck pulled into the garage here, and I'm actually going to start installing these LED light strips underneath the truck. So we got our light strips here ready to go. As you can tell, they kind of have this daisy chain wiring system that we're going to use and utilize. And then I actually already have everything hooked up. The wires are just hanging right here. You can kind of see that. Wire's just hanging there. So we're gonna pull this fender liner out and then just kind of start wiring this up underneath the truck. Normally I'd have it outside, have a little bit better lighting, but it's supposed to be like 100 degrees today here in Texas, so I pulled in the garage just so I could have a little bit of shade. Also, I'm gonna start removing these aux beam lights here as well to replace them with our new LED strips. So these gotta come out, LED strips going in, gonna run all the wire for that. So very excited to see how this turns out.
When the good news coming in on a day-to-day, already know what's happening, I don't gotta shake the hay. Big moves, big stepper in the right direction. The trip continues, every W's a psychedelic. Journey over accolades, divvy up the accolades and tell them boys to have a day. Give and take, and I love to give. Give and take, and I love to see the bros hitting milestones.
Alright guys, so as you can see, we have our aux beam lights out now. Now I just want to re-emphasize, these are good lights. They've been under the truck for a couple months now, and they still look fantastic. They still work great. However, they just don't do that pure white, so we're replacing them with these. Alright, so now that we got those lights out, let's go ahead and install our new LED light strips underneath. So we got our LED light strips underneath the truck and they look great. Now it's finally time to put all of the MicTuning light pods in, wire them all up, and then after that we'll show y'all a big reveal. Enjoy.
Winning. I'ma keep winning. I'ma keep winning. You can try to save yourself, but you only gon' play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you only gon' play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you only gon' play yourself. You can try to save yourself, but you only gon' play yourself.
Yeah, you gon' need 100 men, 100 scopes, 100 cans, just for you to watch what I'm doing under the sun again. God-given gift, MCs doing the running man. If you want me to get it poppin', may cost 100 pence. Yeah, what I supply is always in demand. The throne is mine, take that. It ain't a high five, got the upper hand. I'm too real, can't fake that. Who you know putting fear in them like this? You a vampire, still suck when you bite this. Lord forgive me for my sins, I'm feeling righteous. But they been next to me to show me I might just. They didn't think I could do it, I had to demonstrate how the flow is so heavenly, keeping demons straight. Who they fooling, I showed them the jig is up again. When I asked them who is the best, they get this to stuttering. Tell them
I'ma keep winning, winning. I'ma keep winning.
So as you can see, the truck is done. We have all of the lights installed, 12 MicTuning light pods as well as their underglow strips, and the truck looks great. I really cannot emphasize how much better it looks. Being able to have pure white lights underneath this thing and not just the RGB. It's such a cleaner look. So, you know, just kind of closing thoughts on just the kit, how it was to install, all this and that. Honestly, it was a pretty straightforward kit. It wasn't that difficult to install. If you're used to wiring in your own rock lights, this is basically how this kit works. You wire it in, you know, with butt connectors and everything like that. The only thing that I struggled with, of course, was pairing those lights, but I was able to figure that out. But all in all, they're big LED light pods and they're very bright, and they work really well. And of course you can change the colors and all that different stuff. So definitely love those. And also the RGB strips underneath. Don't sleep on RGB like light strips underneath your truck. I know most guys go for pods, but honestly it works really well to illuminate like underneath the body. Obviously you couldn't use it in the wheel wells or anything like that, but underneath the body, the cab of the truck, it works really, really nicely. So obviously big thanks to MicTuning for sending these lights out. Big thanks to FlashArc for sending that intake manifold out as well. Alright guys, I really appreciate you watching to the end of the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one.